Hello and welcome to another Playdate with O3C. We are the boys of the O3C podcast from O3C Games. I'm Jonathan Dunn, joined by Chris Dow.
Hot pie.
And we've got another week of Playdate games. Welcome to week 3 of Playdate's season 2 episodes. We've been delivered 2 brand new games in the form of Otto's Galactic Groove and Long Puppy.
We
in
have
addition
indeed.
to a new week's worth of content on Blippo Plus. We're going to get into a full discussion about our latest treats, but first we are going to rewind a few days because we were delighted to be joined by Panic's own Arisa Sudangnoi, who is the head of Playdate Developer Relations, and we had a great chat with her about the logistics of organising Playdate's Season 2 of games, how they found the right developers, the right games, the right pricing point, and we even heard her pitch for her own Playdate game that she would like to make someday. Please do enjoy. Welcome, Arisa. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you both.
Before we talk about Playdate things, I'm so excited to talk about Playdate things. But before we start, are there any non-Playdate games that you're playing at the moment, or anything that you've played recently that you'd recommend?
Yeah, well, currently I've been a little late to the game, but I've been playing Balatro.
Oh,
So that's a good game.
It's addicting.
Yeah,
I finally
there he
beat
is.
it, so that's exciting. And what I would recommend, I was a huge fan of, I think it's called the Botany Manor.
Oh, yes.
Have you played that?
I haven't played it, but I've seen
gosh.
it, and it
Yeah.
looks delightful.
I love puzzles, and yeah, it's great. Like chill escape room vibes of just exploring the room and figuring out how to get the flower to grow. It's great.
Yeah, that's the dream. Have you played Blueprints yet?
Yes, and I am taking a break because I'm a little frustrated by the randomness. I'm I think I'm finally getting the solution, but then I just didn't have the patience. I'm just gonna give it a break, play some Balatro, get back to it. Yeah, what about you all?
I've sort of made it further than Chris's with Blueprints. I've got a couple of other friends who are playing it, and my friend described me as I can't remember what the term for it was in mountaineering, but I was basically the guy who was going first and then leaving little foot wedges behind for everybody else.
Yeah.
So I sort of felt like I was the facilitator so I could tell if Chris was getting frustrated. I'd be like, "Oh, have you tried?
Have you thought about this?
Have you thought about this?
Yeah.
Or what did you notice about this postcard?
Oh.
That sort of thing. Try and help.
Yeah.
I didn't have anyone to do that for me, but fortunately, the right sort of Reddit forums have been fantastic in kind of being very unspoilery.
Yes,
and people kind of really embracing cryptic hints and stuff and pushing people in the right direction. So I've sort of enjoyed that. And every time I thought I'm done with the game, or I've finished, or I've broken through a new thing, and I think I've finished. And even today, I'm sat here, I've got about 20 hours on Night Rain that I can't stop playing. I've got my Switch 2, I've got my Playdate, and I was just I'm just going to jump in for a couple of runs of Blueprints and see if I can get X, Y, and Z to line up.
Yeah.
And I didn't, which means that's what I'm going to be doing later.
I've taken a bit of a break. I hit the credits, kind of the it's not the end, but
right.
enough of an end. And then I was away on a trip for a week, and when I came back, I haven't had the oomph to go again yet. But it's kind of it's on the list now. But with other stuff with the Switch just launching and stuff like that, I've got other bits to kind of mess around with. But like Jonathan says, it's a game that lives in your brain when you're not playing it.
It is still in my brain, even though I was frustrated. It's still in my brain.
Yeah, it's like a little thing.
But I think I'm gonna need to talk to people more. That's a good advice to just get them to not spoil it, but give me little hints.
Yeah, definitely.
Little nudge.
Reddit has been really helpful too.
Yeah.
With that.
Tell us a little bit about your role at Panic, because it's it sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we're a small company of 30-ish people, and so, we do a lot of variety of things other than my role is developer relations for Playdate. So I talk to a lot of developers for Playdate and stuff. Little bits of managing, I had helped get catalog created and all that, and just little bits of things there with Playdate season 2. a little bit of like producing and all that as well. And I also helped out. We had, we publish games as well on other platforms, like Firewatch and like Entitled Goose Game. So we got a bunch of look at
you
that.
wore it on purpose.
That's a good shirt. Wow. Yeah, so I help out with producing a few of the games over there too. So Blippo was one of the games that I helped with get made and stuff. And yeah, we just announced the colored version of it for other platforms. So really excited about that.
We've been speculating about like how Blippo's gonna work on. I mean, obviously, we know logistically how it will work.
Yeah,
be that, but with more colors. But yeah, thinking about it as such a Playdate experience, how is that experience going to translate if you're not playing it on the Playdate in the places you would play on your Playdate? It's But that's the exciting thing about Playdate is it's not just the games that you're playing. It changes the way you play games. And it's
no, exactly. Yeah, it's so portable. It's it has a crank, which no other gaming console has, right? So that just makes it really fun in itself.
I mean, we were immediately like taken by it as soon as it was announced. As I'm sure a lot of people were, and as soon as we saw it, we're like, yeah, that is. We could see the possibility, we could see the intention, we could see the place that it was going to fit in our sort of gaming lives and our gaming habits. Yeah, we did. Couldn't wait to get our hands on it. I mean, season 1 was fascinating, and especially looking back now, sort of 2.5, 3 years on, looking back now, there were some amazing games. It was a lot of developers. Hang on, let me just think about how I'm going to phrase this. One of the exciting things about developing for Playdate is the fact that you've got all these new challenges, and then your job is to find creative ways around the limitations of Playdate, and then leaning into what Playdate can do that can't be done on something else. And season 1 there were some games that were just absolutely just tip top, incredible experiences. Things that I didn't know I could enjoy. There was also games where you could see that the intention was, okay, I want to be able to get this game that I enjoy playing on something else. Can I get that working on Playdate? And then does it fit? Does it work? And also, with the incredible demand that came, the hardware stock and all of that kind of stuff, which I'm so glad is not a part of my life to worry about. Because my goodness, you must have just been living in a headache for quite some time. But it meant that, not everybody was then playing the games at the same time and comparing them. There was no sort of general consensus, even of like feedback and reviews dripping in, because people couldn't all play the stuff at the same time. How was that as an experience in terms of like putting that together and then rolling that out? Did you feel that, was there a sense of an anticlimax to it when it came out, knowing then that not everybody could be experiencing this at the same time?
Yeah, it was definitely, it was such a weird time, right? Because like the pandemic, and then God, I can barely remember what exactly we felt. It was stressful. To then I think we had battery issues with the existing units, and it was just one thing after the next, and so it was definitely disappointing that we weren't able to give the experience that we wanted to give of everyone experiencing all the games at the same time. But I don't know, I think we believed that we would have a season 2 eventually to then have this experience, and so so we weren't super we were hopeful with being able to eventually experience that, and that people will be excited about it, and just knowing that even though people didn't get to experience it, just how much people still talked about it, and that they were very excited about that idea of it, and that I guess helped us continue on with that idea for season 2 to make sure that people could eventually do that and play all the games together with the community and all that. So
Yeah.
I think we made the most of it, I guess, because we didn't receive our units at quite the same time. I got mine before Jonathan, but I sort of played a few games, and then we decided really early on we would love to cover this essentially in that week by week format. So we just, I just stopped playing them until Jonathan had his, and then we said, okay, well, let's just do this properly. So we'll have week 1, we're going to play Whitewater Wipeout, we're going to play Casual Burner, we're going to work from there. Yeah. And we sort of cultivated our own weekly drop experience, because even though my Playdate had lit up 10 times previously and it was ready to go.
Oh, that's friendship, right? There.
There we go. But I was kind of holding back to say, but it's going to be more enjoyable to kind of give myself that week to play it, to then sit down and talk about it. And we did it that way, as honestly as we could, given kind of the restrictions around kind of obviously when they arrived and things like that.
But I mean, so much of like the joy of the Playdate is having those drops, and the great thing is like that experience, that sensation hasn't stopped at the end of season 1, because there's been obviously the introduction of the catalogue, and then sort of sequential drops on the catalogue, and all kinds of updates going on. There's always something that's exciting, but it's great that everybody is now kind of on the same page. I mean, how's it felt then now to roll out season 2, to then really kind of deliver that experience to? I mean, how many people have got a Playdate now? You'll know this figure, I'm sure.
Oh God,
I
don't know what the latest number is. Is it 70,000, 80,000? I don't remember. Yeah. How we're feeling about it. I mean, we're all really excited, and just knowing that like on the unofficial Discord for Playdate and stuff, that they have like unwrapping parties and stuff is like really cool to see. And just like I like linger on the Discord to see what people are saying about each week's games and stuff, and how much they care about the spoilers and stuff, and like making sure like things are spoiler free and stuff. So I don't know, it's just, it reminds me a lot of like watching a TV show. I mean, one of the big ones, like for me, like that I felt that similar, like talking about something, was like Game of Thrones. Of like the next day you're like, oh my gosh, did you watch that latest episode? But then also like waiting to watch an episode. Like it's true. Yeah, it is true to dedication and friendship.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just like similar vibes of what is going on with season 2, and how people are talking about it. It feels like like a TV show with your friends.
That's great. I mean, how were developers for this season selected? Was it did people pitch to Panic, kind of knowing that the Playdate was now a known quantity, or were you also approaching developers to say, we really like this game you made somewhere else, or for the catalogue or something like that?
Yeah, we had some devs that were already making games that they had pitched to us, but also we had sent out a pitch form for all of the catalog developers that were already on catalog with their games and stuff, and so they had pitched us. I think there was like 70 games that were like.
Wow.
70 pitches. It was a lot. I was surprised, and it was very hard to select through and pick the like really. There were a lot of good pitches, so it wasn't. It was hard to select, but also, we knew that there was like a lot of like the developer community for Playdate is just so active and like vibrant, and everyone's like helping each other out. Like it's their first game, and or first like thing that they're doing for like 3D style like game that they're doing, and someone else is like helping them with that stuff. So we knew that there was like just so many different ideas, really cool games that are out there, and so it was not hard to like get amazing games for season 2. So
it's been a real success so far. We've covered obviously the first 2 weeks. Without wanting to be like a comparison to season 1, you can really feel that this is a more mature kind of device at this point. And it's not that, we've already said there were real standouts in season 1 as well, but the difference between developers kind of dipping their toes in something that they presumably would have developing without the final product even in hand for a lot of people, versus now it being a known quantity that people have had for some time. They've seen what works, they've seen what doesn't work, and have been able to really sort of tailor their sort of pitches and game experiences from what they know hopefully will be successful, while still retaining kind of a level of kind of quirkiness and exploration that just fits the device at the Playdate really well.
Yeah. No, I do agree with that. It because people have had what 2 years now of like just making games and stuff, so they've just gotten like a lot of experience with what works on Playdate and being able to like go further and like test new ideas and stuff for season 2.
Yeah, something I'm really, really curious about is how you make the decision of which games to pair together to release.
Yeah,
like I mean, it's something I when I was a student and I had like a cinema pass, like unlimited thing. I'd like curate my own double bill cinema trips, and I'd be like, actually, I think that film would be a really interesting companion piece to that one. I'm going to go and watch them, back to back, and see how that makes me feel. And it's something we've noticed, and we noticed in season 1 as well. Actually, getting not necessarily complementary experiences or totally diametrically opposed experiences, but just finding things that fit sort of together and feel like they should sort of be played, in the same sort of pocket of space and time. Yeah. Let's talk about Quantum. Let's how do you go about sort of making those decisions?
I mean, we basically did the same thing as we did with season 1, which was like kind of looked at all the games together and figure out like the different genres and like styles of games, like which ones are kind of like stressful versus like fast paced, and like ones that are slower paced, and like ones that you can like come back and play like throughout the season basically. And so that was kind of like part of like week 1 for season 1, which we also did with season 2, is just like, okay, like with Wipeout, we can like people can come back to and play, right? Like with Fulcrum, like that's the same thing. And Fulcrum can be a little bit stressful, and some people might not like enjoy those games as much and like need a little thing to like be to like chill with. And like Dig Dino was like a perfect combination for that week. And so we just kind of looked at like not everyone has the same taste in games, and we want to make sure that each week people can be excited about something. For this season 2, we also like thought a lot about like accessibility too, since we have a friend Dylan in the community that is super like vocal accessibility like advocate and stuff, and he had like put it in our minds of just like being mindful of like the type of controls that are used in the game and stuff, and like just maybe having variety of like what people can play and what they something like some people might not be able to use the crank, for example, and stuff, and or like might not be able to have like that fast reaction times with like some games, and so just being mindful. But that kind of like goes hand in hand with like the genre styles too, and so like it worked really well anyway. So that's basically kind of like our mindset on the like selecting each week.
Well, I mean, so far, we're in a point of recording. We're in week 2, and it's I've same with week 2 as with week 1. Wheelsprung is I get to the point where I get so angry I almost rage quit because I just can't. I know what I want to do and I just can't get it to do it. It's my fault. I know that it's not the game. It's me. It's all me. I'm the problem. And I'm like, you know what? I need a break. Let me go. Let me go into a snowstorm in a post-apocalyptic world and just chill out.
Exactly.
Take my mind off the squirrel for a minute. Although there are squirrels in the whiteout, actually, so that's a nice little thematic link, if you were.
There we go. There we go.
We definitely did not think about it.
Week 2, the week of the squirrel.
Yeah. I think this might not be something you can really say too much about, but we were really impressed how affordable season 2 felt as well, because when it was first kind of announced months back that it was going to happen, we were speculating like how many how many games do we think could be included? How much do we think that's going to set everyone back? Like, sort of considering what the catalog costs, what's a premium experience, what people are willing to pay. And when it dropped at being, essentially $40, it felt like that's well below what we both kind of had in mind for more than we thought would be included. So it was kind of like it was a good in both directions. But how did you kind of manage that in terms of like people's expectations versus what you felt you could charge as a company to still obviously make it profitable?
Yeah.
You need to win there as well.
Yeah, I mean, pricing is just always really tough. Yeah, we after the end of season 1, there's like a survey that we send out to people to kind of get an idea as to like if, I think we even like framed it as like if there's like 12 games in the season, how much are you willing to pay for it? And I think most people said $30, I believe, at that time. And so we were just like looking at that survey, and then like we had an idea about like I'm trying to remember, the price of the Playdate covers are like, I think they're like $36 or something.
Yeah.
We were playing around with like
pizza
a different
cover here.
Yeah. Look at that. That's my favorite cover. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Thanks, Nevin. What was I saying? So we were playing around with like different price ideas, and like we were kind of checking in with the developers too to get their thoughts on like what they felt appropriate for pricing in their minds as well, because they're part of this like season 2, and we want to make sure that they get paid well as well. So someone had brought up like, the Playdate covers are like $36, and so just the amount of content that are in this game is like, seems way, or in season 2 it seems way more than a cover. Cost of a cover. So we just like, okay, like that makes sense. And so we just landed on the 39, and it seemed also just like thinking about like just other platforms and just like games out there, right, and how much games are cost and stuff. So even if like, sure, like on catalog the average price is like I think like $6. That and other platforms, like there's like these like huge games that are like $40 or $60, right? And so like as we get closer to that amount, like we were worried that people will have a hard time like buying season 2 if it was just the same price as a AAA game, basically.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's such a tough thing to to judge, especially for something like Playdate, which kind of fits, like I say, it fits in a very different space. I know so many people who won't pay for games on their phone because they're like, why would I pay for that? Why, no, I can just get the free version. No, I get the free, and people then feeling entitled that game keeps. I think Chris, you've said this before. Games, gamers feel that all these games should just be able to entertain you indefinitely for no money, and and it's a horrible thing. And where was I going to go with that? Don't know. Just have a rant, wouldn't it?
I agree.
Just angry. Trying to sort of, but I think getting people to buy into the concept of Playdate means that those people are also going to buy into what you're doing and how you're doing it and how you're pricing it.
Yeah.
And because people have seen me like with my Playdate and be like, oh, what's that? And they, first glance, they assume that it's one of those cheap gaming emulator device things that they'll have had 1,000 ads for on Instagram going like, oh, there's 20,000 games in your pocket. Here it is. It's like 40p and it's made of cardboard. And then I'm going and trying to sort of explain then to go, no, this isn't like I know. Yeah, okay, it looks like a toy. Yeah, yes, I know the screen doesn't have a light, but it's, yes, the crank is fun. Yes, but it's, this is, and describing it as like the way I describe it is it's an artisan product. It's like an artisan gaming thing. It goes, yes, it's got a premium. Yes, but what you're buying into is a concept. It's an experience. and that's what makes it, that's what makes it special, and that's what makes it exciting. And yeah, that's just one. That's just my thought.
I mean, I definitely like agree with what you're saying, because like I am the type that if a mobile game, I don't really play mobile games anyway, but because I mean, I think part of it is because there's a lot of free games that have like a bunch of ads and like just all these restrictions. I'm like, I just want to pay you money so that I don't have these limitations.
You want a good experience. And I think we've been that sort of proponents of that model for a long time on here, that anytime we're talking about a game for a mobile device or something like that, it tends to be because it's a premium product, or it's something you can pay that £5-6 to get rid of the ads, or it's something that launches through a subscription model like Apple Arcade, so it's a contained experience that doesn't have that kind of extra ad spend watering it all down.
I mean, something that people have said about Playdate, and certainly what I would say as well, is it gives you a very pure gaming experience.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think so much of that is achieved by knowing that you're interacting with the people that are making the games. It feels like that, because these are small teams, these are small projects. Like you said, they're sometimes people are on there doing their first project or their first foray into trying something else like that. And the Playdate itself feels like it's got its own voice, it's got its own personality to it, which has obviously come from how Panic have marketed it and showcased it and all of that. And for you, like, have you? What have been like some of your favourite like Playdate experiences? Like, do you feel that you can sort of remove yourself enough from like the work that you do to still enjoy it as much as a gamer?
No, definitely. I mean, when I first joined Panic, the first game I played was Amaze. And like I knew how
Gregory.
Gregory. And I knew about Playdate and stuff, but like just my first time like touching it and playing a game, I was just amazed. I did not mean to do that.
that one was written. That was written.
But that was pretty great. Yeah, that game was just so good, and I could not set my Playdate down. And there has been like just a few games that are like that, like Casual Birder, like just I'm trying to think what else like recently, like 0-0's a lot of fun. Training,
gosh,
like Train Simulator.
It's very hard.
With season 2, like I was a huge fan of Dig Dig Dino, and like just could not stop playing it. So
we both beat that yesterday, didn't we? At different times yesterday. Me in the morning, you in the night.
Have you got a concept for like? Have you ever explored the idea of making a game yourself?
Gosh, I would like to make a game, and I'm trying to learn how to program right now, but it's just a little bit overwhelming to like think about making a game. So I like want to get better at like that part before I go into it. But I'm a huge fiber arts, I guess, fan. I craft a lot. And so I want to see a game about crafting, whether it's like knitting or like weaving or like owning a yarn store or something. I really like playing like Cook Serve Delicious and like cooking games and stuff, and like Animal Crossing, like that sort of like vibe and stuff. Spellcork was like really scratched a nice itch for me of like cooking potions and stuff. So I kind of want to make something like that, and I'm like, how do I make that fun? I don't know. I've never made a game before, but if someone out there
great with a crank, wouldn't it?
Just kind of like operating a loom type thing, maybe.
I mean, my wife would be playing that like non-stop.
Right?
I love that. It could work in like Bloom was one of the games that we absolutely adored, and it was a runner-up for our Game of the Year a couple of years ago. And I mean that it fulfilled, it did scratch a little bit of an itch of that sort of like cozy gaming life sim, but obviously that was just the background to the narrative that you're experiencing. But
great game.
Yeah.
Wonderful writing. That was such a hit.
Peerless writing. Absolutely incredible. Is there a hidden gem that you think people aren't playing on anything on the catalog that may have passed people by?
Yeah, I mean, we've had some selections on our staff picks with some like hidden gem stuff. God, I'm trying to remember the names of. Let me go look real quick.
Yeah.
There's a game that I'm thinking of, but I can't seem to remember the name.
Learning how to code is on my very long list of things to do. I've got so. I mean, as I'm sure a lot of gamers do have ideas for games, but there's so many like nice ideas that I just think that would make such a great Playdate game. I need to be able to make that, and I can't.
Yeah. No, you feel so like,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like the idea of like making something and it's not quite what you like have envisioned in your mind, Like, that is like, tough.
Well, that's the worst thing. It's like
But yeah, so I love Reflections, Nightingale. It's made in pulp, but it just has really amazing storytelling and like, it has like some dark themes to it and like it's around like being in a hospital and like I think like illnesses and all that, and just I think the dev is telling the story based off like their own like experiences of like being like having like disabilities or like immunocompromised and stuff, and like going around with that. So it's a really interesting story, and has like different puzzles that you like have to like solve and stuff too. So it's really good. Recommend.
Check that one out.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah. Is there anything you can either tell us about the future of Playdate? Anything post season 2? Any little hints of any surprises coming in season 2?
I mean, I think we got all of our surprises out there. We
Just
started
more
with the surprise.
Yeah.
That's a question as well, because you've been involved in the production of Blippo. Do you have any cameo in there? Do you feature anywhere?
You must do.
No.
No.
No. I'm not in the TV shows.
Just behind the scenes.
Yeah. So they had, I think it was during like the strike, the writer's strike in LA and stuff. They had filmed it over in LA, and I live in this Seattle area, and so so at that time they were just like hiring a bunch of actors and to be part of this this wild idea. So no one at Panic are in it. I'm excited for people to continue watching all the different shows on it, though, every week.
It's a lot of fun. It's, to me, like it downloaded on my Playdate first with Dig Dig Dino, and I thought that it was one of the two games because I was trying to avoid any sort of spoilers of what games were coming, and I was like, I don't know what this is. Hang on a minute, what is this? And I was like, and then and sort of exploring it, and it's just again, it's something. It just feels so Playdate. I love it.
Yeah, and we just shared that it has 11 weeks of content.
Yes,
that's really exciting.
People are excited to continue watching past season 2 drops of games and stuff, and it'll like re-air those like same 11 weeks, for as long as possible. So
that's great. That's really good.
I love it. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, or anything you want to, anything at all?
Yeah, no, I don't. Nothing I can think of.
Cool. This has been, really, really great.
Really nice.
Really, really interesting. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
There we go. That was Arisa.
That was.
It absolutely was. Thanks again to her for sparing some of her time to chat with us, and it's given us a nice leading in point to talking about week three's games, because one of the things I was most interested in finding out from Arisa was how Panic go about deciding what pairings of games to send out week by week. And like the funny thing is, like even when we were covering the season 1 games, usually it was immediately clear to us like which game each of us individually was going to talk about, on the podcast. Because, we're very different types of gamers, and these pairings of games always seem to intrigue us in specifically different ways. And I think week 3 of season 2 is possibly the best summation of our personal predilections. If you asked ChatGPT to make a Playdate game for Chris, it would probably involve music, rhythm, and finely tuned crank controls. Hello, Otto's Galactic Groove.
Hello.
If you ask ChatGPT to make a Playdate game for Jonathan, it would most likely be a puzzle platformer involving a silly, stretchy sausage dog whose scoring method revolved around how big your dog's poo is at the end of the level. Welcome, long puppy. But let's start on the groovy side of Playdate. Chris, tell me about Otto's Galactic Groove.
Otto's Galactic Groove. I like rhythm games a lot, as you've just alluded to there. It's a passion of mine. I also really like rhythm games that have unique input methods. If you think back to Guitar Hero or stuff like that, they're all things that ask you to play a game in a slightly different way. So Otto's Galactic Groove should be an absolute slam dunk. And I think it is. It took a moment, but I think it is, because there is one quite big caveat you need to think about. You have to play with headphones. It's like borderline compulsory. There's an advisory message when you first boot it up that says headphones are recommended, but I honestly think it needs to be far more than just a suggestion. It should basically just lock you out and open with a straight up, I'm not going to boot if you're not willing to do me the courtesy of using headphones, because it makes such a difference. And I feel qualified saying this because on my first few plays, I tried to get a sense of the game in kind of like stolen 5-minute windows here and there. And I was playing through the machines that are mono speaker, and I was ready to be a little unkind about the game, both mechanically and orally. And that would have been doing the whole thing a grave disservice, because all it took was to be able to hear what was going on properly, to actually focus on what I was doing. And suddenly it was like, oh no, this is actually a very, very good rhythm game. So when I sat down and I played for, firstly, slightly more extended and focused time, and second with headphones, everything changed and the music made sense. The crank input started to feel really intuitive, and the whole package suddenly felt really generous, really bespoke for the handheld. And the slam dunk I mentioned at the start of this rambling little spiel, there it was in the basket. Like it just works. Some of the good stuff. I really like the presentation. It's kooky, it's silly. I don't think enough rhythm games these days go down the parappa route, and that's where you're essentially balancing rhythm gameplay almost 50-50 with cutesy cutscenes and a nonsense story. But Otto is very much drawing from that well, because it's got lovely scrollable cutscenes before and after each little stage. You've got quirky characters and playful dialogue. You've got really lovely art that feels kinetic and wild due to its clever mixture of hand-drawn elements and also slightly more kind of refined pixel art as well, so the characters sort of gel in an interesting way. The music itself is also really strong. The game has you visiting different planets, with each offering a pairing of songs in their own kind of style or genre. I don't know if the opening tracks are the strongest, which had me slightly worried up front, but you'll soon find your favourites once you've played like 3-4 songs into the campaign. Control is highly customisable, but essentially asks that you move the crank up and down to manoeuvre a shape along the right border of the screen, and you're trying to catch each note as it approaches from the left, by either tapping or holding down a face button, similar to Trombone Champ or Theatre Rhythm, or a game like that, where you're moving along kind of a track as it moves. The main challenge then comes from managing the rhythm of your taps and holds, whilst also following the placement and the shape of the notes with the crank. Sometimes you'll hit a short run of staccato notes that ask you to hold the crank steady in one position. Sometimes you'll be tracing long slides or sort of glissandos up and down the screen. And at higher difficulties, you'll be flitting between all of these at great frequency. And for me, I knew that I was enjoying this game a lot when, without realising it, I just bumped the difficulty right up to extreme, and I was just retrying songs like 4 or 5 times in a row to try and climb the online leaderboard every time, because it was just all clicking. Like, it just started to really, really click and make sense. It is worth saying, though, that if I'd sat down to give my thoughts on the game on the day of release, I would not have been as positive, and not just because I would have been talking from a no headphones perspective. The game did launch in a bit of a state, and there were severe latency issues that meant hitting a note as it overlapped your marker was not a guarantee you'd actually get credit for it. Yeah. And you could lose your combo streak really easily. But it also, in kind of a more annoying way, tailing back to our conversation with Gregory last episode, it originally used a crank system that fundamentally didn't make sense for the game it was trying to be, because it would read input from wherever the crank began, and so your movement on screen would be relative to your start position and not absolute. Yeah. But this was all fixed within, I don't know, 24 hours of launch. So if you are the type of player that excitedly downloaded on Thursday and then immediately gave up because it didn't feel right, I'd highly suggest updating it, giving it another 15 minutes, and then see if you actually enjoy it. Because what's presented now is the game it should have been on day one. It just happened that it didn't come until day two.
Yeah.
You know, all credit to them for kind of sorting it out as quickly as they did. But it did very much change my perception from being something I thought, I really don't think this works, to, oh, actually, this is a great rhythm game. Some other nice little bonuses here are the inclusion of a swathe of Playdate-centric bonus tracks that you can play through the game's jukebox mode. So there's representation here from the Link's Awakening-inspired Resonant Tale. There's a track from the insane Bullet Hell Gun Trails. There's a beautiful lo-fi groove from O3C favourite Bloom. And there's even a cute little song from the not O3C favourite Lost Your Marbles.
Gosh, yeah, I remember that disgrace.
Yeah. I mean, if that's not enough, you can even create your own tracks using the team's intuitive online editor and then sideload either that or additional tracks other people have made really easily too. But with nearly 30 songs in the game already, I haven't felt the need to kind of go digging just yet. Although we did just have a conversation off air thinking that I should probably try and at least make a chart for the Playdate theme we use on our show, shouldn't I?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
If that happens, I will absolutely post the link to that on all of our social media channels for people to check out if they wish. Early doors, I really felt that Otto's Galactic Groove was going to be the game that made me go, well, I guess they can't all be bangers about Season 2, but I'm very happy to report that it is yet another incredible addition to the library, and they are really blazing a hot trail with this season so far.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I gave it a quick play, and I didn't know whether or not it was just because I gave it a quick play, or I'm not very good at those sort of games or anything, but I was a bit like, whatever. But then knowing certainly of the day one sort of issues, coming back to it a day or two later to experience it properly and play it with headphones, yeah, it's very, very good. It's very good. It's like at first, initially when I first played it, with the latency issues, I thought it was another sort of self-inflicted injury, like boogie loops, where that was like there was latency all over the place when you were playing your stuff back because it prioritized animating 4 enormous giant dancing sprites at the top of the screen at all times, which made no sense. Which obviously looked nice, but the art for Otto's Galactic Groove, they've got these really, really nice
huge characters
in the background. They're very detailed, and I was like, why have you done this? Why have you done this if you can't do the most important thing? Obviously, all fixed, all running fine, looks lovely, plays lovely, sounds brilliant. Yeah, I'm also really, really impressed with the level of accessibility that's in the game.
Yes,
it's something that Arisa also mentioned in the interview, saying that was a real sort of priority for this season, looking at how different gamers play and what they can do, what they can't do, what might work for them, what might not work for them, and making sure that their games were going to be as welcoming and as accessible as possible to all styles of gamers and cater to all tastes and moods. And within the multitude of settings in Otto's Galactic Groove, you can make your cursor bigger, you can make the timing more lenient, you can turn on auto cranking, so all you need to do is worry about hitting the button in time. You can turn on auto button, so you can basically just enjoy going through the game and listening to the songs and seeing the animations, and it's great. It's there, it's like, if that's how you want to enjoy the game, you've paid for it, enjoy it. Because there's going to be people that have paid for this season and don't want to play this game.
Yes,
and that's fine, because you don't know what games you're going to be getting. Some people, might just be like, I'm not going to play that game, but I like music and I like the art, so here's a way I can enjoy that as well. Yeah, and that's really, really commendable, because honestly, I'm not going to play through all of it, probably, because rhythm games aren't massively appealing to me.
Ain't your bag.
I mean, I like a rhythm. I like a rhythm.
I've been known to enjoy a rhythm.
I've been known to enjoy. I partake of a rhythm sometimes.
A small cup of rhythm in the morning.
Yes, a polyrhythm, maybe.
I sometimes tap on my desk.
Yes, exclusively in 9/8.
Only
On rare occasions 5/4. But certainly the idea of having like a custom track editor and stuff like that you can do, that's just really fun. I'm definitely gonna put the longest progressive rock song I'm allowed to into that and try and make some ridiculous music chart for it, because that does sound like fun. Yeah. No one else will look forward to that, but I will.
What about Long Puppy?
Mate, let me tell you about the greatest game ever made. I mean, just from its descriptor I gave earlier, I knew I was going to love this. It didn't even matter if the game was a bit shonky or awkward. It was always going to win me over. Fortunately, this is a really tightly designed game. It works brilliantly, and it's a huge amount of fun. The developer is somebody called Indiana Jonas, and it's their first Playdate game. But they have made a handful of others, including a game called Surmount, which is a mountaineering-based sort of action puzzle platformer combining, like, is it DK King of Swing style climbing mechanics?
Where you hop like that. I think that's the one.
And some other physics things. I can definitely see some lineage with Long Puppy there, I think, but it looks really, really cool. I need to check that out. On a side note, he's also like an illustrator, and he did the key art for the game Toem, which is that like black and white photography game, which was really, really gorgeous. So, anyway.
I had no idea.
There we go. That's what I found when I was finally able to get Google to stop showing me results of playing in a sandpit with Harrison Ford. The levels in Long Puppy all take a similar form, the setup being that you are a long puppy, a dachshund, of course, and your owner throws a ball for you to retrieve. And then the levels are a bit of like an open sandbox type affair. And you do need to find your way to the ball, like Cinderella. But there's loads of food lying around for you to eat, secrets to sniff out, including always a secret wee spot that you need to find and identify in each level to see who's been piddling there. The more food you eat, the longer your puppy gets, which is essential to be able to cross wider gaps, reach higher platforms, and ultimately get to the ball. You're on a timer. So you do need to get your paws going, because if the timer reaches 0, the ghost of your owner's previous dog appears and jealously starts chasing you to get the ball. And this also happens once you get to the ball and pick it up. So it adds some drama and jeopardy to each of the levels. And then, as I teased earlier, the way the game works out your score for the level depends on how much of the available food on each of the level you've managed to eat. And then it does this by having you crank the actual shit out of your puppy. And the higher the mountain of muck, the higher your score. And in doing so, sets a new precedent for how all games should be scored going forward.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it would improve all games.
I agree.
If a Tetramino had to double over and squeeze out some little brown blocks at the end of a Tetris level, even if it's a game that isn't reliant on scores, maybe instead of the end credits of The Last of Us, Joel just pops a few Imodium and fills up a post-apocalyptic bucket with chunky drainage. I'm sure Ed McMillan's taking notes somewhere.
Oh, yeah. He loves
comes
it.
next from him. Back to Long Puppy. The way you control the game is really, really cool. You basically you use the crank to control which direction your dog is facing, and then you use up on the D-pad to stretch out and down to wind your neck in. And you can also curve your body mid-stretch too if you want to extend and curl round to grab onto a ledge or find a foothold down a drain. It was a little fiddly at first, but it didn't take long to do a bit of Gregory Kogos-endorsed brain rewiring to get into the swing of things, and I was zipping around really, really quickly. It's worth saying as well that Nora, my 4-year-old daughter, started playing some stuff on my Playdate today, and after playing a little action puzzle game called Extras, which is really good fun, she said, "Have you got any games about poo?" And I said, funnily enough, yes.
You bet your bottom dollar.
And you bet your bottom. And I thought, okay, it's going to be a bit fiddly because, you're doing quite a few things at the same time. but very, very quickly she understood what she had to do and was able to do it. She was able to, and she got so excited. Every sort of bit of food she managed to reach and eat. She was loving it, and I was very, very impressed with actually how quickly she picked it up. So that really, really shows that it's very, very good game design. But you do need to be quite nimble if you want to 100% a level, and certainly when it comes to escaping the ghost of a dead dog, that bit. It reminds me of like the Wario Land 4 levels.
Yeah.
When you get to the end and then you have to blast back through the level at top speed. It really gets your heart rate going every time. And it does that. It does that here. It's great. Like, I don't know if everyone will get on with that mechanic. And it feels, I don't know, like, yeah, there's a few things in the game that would sort of dictate how strict the game is with you, between like the timer and the chasing dog. I don't think that there's a penalty for getting the ghost, if the ghost gets the ball back, other than it just taking more time to finish the level. But I don't think that actually has an impact on like your score. A poo point penalty.
If you get bitten, you can't get 100% because it cuts down your food percentage. So if you've collected everything, you then need to be quick sharp to the exit kind of thing.
There we go. I wasn't sure about that because
you're just too good. I just don't get bitten.
Either that, or if like I finish at like 94%, I'd be like, oh, I obviously missed an apple somewhere.
Yeah.
Not a ghost dog bit it out of my belly. But it's incredibly impressive actually, because the game, there's a lot going on in the game. The stages are quite big, and then you've got this big angry ghost chasing you, and the game copes with it all really, really well. Whether you like the mechanic or not, it's kind of a moot point, because if you don't like it, you can just turn it off. You can turn the time limit off as well if you just want a more casual experience, which is what I did to allow Nora to explore at her own pace and sort of just enjoy the game. It's so good. I've finished it. And I found all the secret Wii spots. It's great to look at. The mechanics work brilliantly. It's silly and fun. The levels are great to explore and investigate. It's another great game for Season 2.
I agree. And the quality of this season has genuinely wowed me. As we've now hit the halfway point with these two games, I don't think it's being hyperbolic to say that every single one of the included games for this season has been a minimum 8 out of 10 in the context of the Playdate.
Yeah.
If not higher on several occasions. And that's not to say they are better or worse than games I could be playing elsewhere. Like, it's impossible to compare Long Puppy to Mario Kart World or Blueprints. They're not comparable experiences. But when viewed as a Playdate game, the 6 games released so far have been some of the very best games on the console. And the device is just such a weird outlier in space and time. Like, as far as I know, and from what Arisa told us, Panic are on the way to, but have not yet shipped the magic kind of 100,000 units.
Yeah.
And even that's not a huge number, even if they had got there. But the fact that so many developers have flocked to this thing and created so many well above average experiences, I think says something about Panic as a team of both hardware designers and then experienced curators through the catalogue and everything else. And it says something probably about the power of the device's software development kit and how easy it is for people to access and make stuff that works. But it also says something about the warmth and support of the community, because there's a lot of people that show up and say, I've never made a game before, but I want to try something on the Playdate. And then they're coaxed through the process until they get something that's, often pretty good.
Yeah.
Long Puppy is such a good time. And for me, the only thing that stops it being tippity top tier are those sections where you're being chased by the big squeaky dog at the end when you're returning your ball. And it's because, like, when I've been trying to beat a stage 100%, and I know I've got everything, I've checked the map, and it's like, right, here's the 100%. I'm going to get the ball. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to go that way. And then it only takes me to get like a little bit squirrely with the crank, because now I'm being chased. And then I have, a bite taken out of me, and I kind of lose that last little bit, and it doesn't matter. But at the same time, for me, it's like, oh, but I almost had it. And, with practice, I'm sure I could overcome those errors. I could be zipping around the place.
If you don't like it, turn it off.
Yeah, but it's what was intended. So I just wanted to get good and zip through.
What's intended is for you to enjoy it as much as possible.
I am enjoying it. But I do feel like the game does change a bit from the, having the timer is fine, and it's kind of enjoyably challenging to try and do everything within the few minutes you get given. And then it changes to be a bit more panic-inducing. And I made the exact same note here about Wario Land 4, that in that game, it's like I loved exploring a level, and then I hated being chased along the timer. So it's that kind of thing that I know you love that game. So maybe it's just maybe
also,
this.
It is it like as an enjoyable experience.
Yeah,
it's nicer, sort of. Yeah. So I'm gonna say.
nicer. It's nice.
So yeah, it's like, what do you prefer? Which role do you prefer in hide and seek?
Yeah, I guess. It's that sort of principle, isn't it? And I guess it's just that having that sort of tonal shift is enough to make me go, oh, and then fuck up. But everything else, the stage designs, the little piss secrets, the control method itself, the really lovely art, like it's great. It's a great game. So another 2 absolute smashers for week 3.
How long have you managed to get your dog?
I don't even know. What's your biggest shit stack?
I don't know, but I managed to hit. I don't think I've got over 50 feet.
Yeah,
and that's like, it's ridiculous that the game can handle that, because that's spreading across like multiple screens worth.
Yeah, because I haven't
screens worth of dog.
I haven't got as far as you, so I haven't been able to really stretch out my dashing yet.
Yeah,
later.
Could be better. Yeah, Chris, can you give us the latest update on Blippo?
I can indeed. Blippo continues to serve up Blippo, and I think that's a good thing. But I have, like, when I was trying to write down what was going on, or to try and sum up anything in particular, it's getting harder and harder to talk up on an audio platform like this without just describing the shows verbatim.
Yeah.
So I haven't bothered doing that, really. I think it is, though, worth talking about the recent announcement of what Blippo is going to look like in its Steam and Switch releases, because that was announced this last week as well. It's apparently going to have the same 12 weeks of content, so roughly, 12-ish hours of programming spread across the full schedule. It's also, and I don't know how I feel about this yet, going to have the option to watch in gaudy 1980s VHS style colour, sort of like the blown out studio lights of old sort of cable television. And I think that will be a nice option. I think it's still including kind of the black and white 1-bit display as well. But as another way of seeing some of these shows, it might make me like it less. It might make me like it more. I don't really know. But I'm interested to check it out. Yeah. I think as well, I might just... This is one of these things I've written down and then I'm immediately questioning where I read it or if I just made it up. Yeah. I've put down, there's a new time warp feature that presumably would let you access missed broadcasts. I don't know where I read that, if at all. So if it's true, you can quote me and say I broke that story. And if it's not true, you can blame it on a dream I might have had. Yeah. Like, in theory, it makes sense, I guess, that, if you pick up the game and you are in week 4 of 12, if it's on a constant sort of rotation like it is on the Playdate, you might be quite annoyed. So maybe there's a way of just saying, can you reset to this point and then stream it? Or will it be a full offline package that just includes it all there in those home console releases? Yeah. Who knows? But I think, it could be a good option, but it would lose something from at least the way that we're experiencing it when it's, every week what's going on, and then you get that little refresh on a Thursday night and then it starts going for the new loop. Yeah. It's been interesting as well, lurking around kind of Reddit threads and forums talking about Blippo Plus, because I think it's become quite polarizing, not in terms of liking or disliking the content of the shows or the overarching storyline or anything like that, but in terms of people wanting it to be something that it's not. Because it's a largely passive experience. That, okay, you're changing the channels, but it is passive in as much as you're not interacting with the shows you're watching. And yet people are suddenly wanting it to have some sort of interactive component. And I think that sort of misses the point, because it's meant to be something that, it just washes over you. You're supposed to just bathe in Blippo. Yeah. You're supposed to become one with Blippo. Yeah. And I'll keep doing so each week and seeing what's going on.
So there we go. That was week 3 of Playdate Season 2. Again, how long can they keep this streak going? Chris, what do you reckon? Do you think we're going to get a couple of stinkers next week?
I hope not. But, it really does feel like they have curated this extremely well. So I'm really hopeful that continues. And I'm just, excited every Thursday to see the little blue light flash and then know that it's time to play something cool that I haven't played before.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Meet back here next week.
Yeah.
Might have another guest.
Oh.
We will have another guest. Who will it be?
I can't remember.